to yet another Loser Monday here on the Fan. Evan and Tiki, we got a ton to talk about. Abdul Carter finally makes news, except it isn't on the field. The Jets make a quarterback change, and we have specific names connected to the Giants head coaching job. But Tiki Barber, another Sunday, another fourth quarter lead, another Giants loss.
Look, I want to get mad at Jalen Hyatt like I did in postgame and scream at him for not running a corner route despite seeing the cover two corner safety sitting right where he was supposed to be. Jameis Winston is going to throw the ball, Jalen Hyatt. So run your route, even if you think you're not getting it. That is something we'll deal with later. We've been talking about Shane Bowen a lot. People have called over and over and over again, really going back to week 4 or 5, about how bad he is and the fact that the Giants should move on from him. But Dave's made a commitment to him. He picked him specifically 2 years ago, and he stuck through him despite some of the challenges that this defense has had. Well, after this game yesterday, Evan, just listening to the players, I can tell that they're getting tired of Shane Bowen. We could excuse it away, all right? The players got to make plays. Tay Banks has got to be more aggressive. The linebackers got to make tackles. You can't be mispositioned. It's on the players. It's on the players. It's on the players. Yesterday, I lost it with Shane Bowen. It got to the point where I can start to predict exactly what he's doing. And I'm a lay fan at this point. I mean, I'm more than a lay fan, but you know what I mean. Yeah. I'm not in the meeting room. I'm not studying their defensive schemes. I'm not deep into it like I'm competing against them. And I could start to predict what they were trying to do. The biggest issue is that their defensive front gets no pressure. They have the 8th slowest time to the quarterback in the National Football League.
Which is crazy because we figured this would be a strength.
The 8th slowest. We're talking Brian Burns, who up until yesterday, because of Myles Garrett's prolific sack totals he's going to put up this season, was leading the league in sacks. Brian Burns has been fantastic. Dex actually early in these games is getting pressure. Kayvon Thibodeau, when he was healthy, and Abdul Carter, they're supposed to be dominant. But it's hard to be dominant when offenses know exactly what you're going to do. Now, they bring pressure. They do. It's like the 4th or 5th highest pressure rate in the National Football League. The problem is, everybody knows it's coming. And so there's never unblocked pressure. There's never that cornerback that's just coming out of nowhere and blindsides the quarterback and causes a sack fumble. There's never any of that. In fact, they have one of the worst unblocked pressure rates in the National Football League.
And that's on coaching.
Despite being one of the highest blitzing teams in the NFL, right, they have one of the worst unblocked pressure rates. To me, that is, you're not designing anything that's confusing an opposing quarterback. And so when we keep seeing over and over and over again, the Giants have leads in the fourth quarter, whether it's a double-digit lead or a 2-point lead, the Giants have leads. It's on the defense to make plays, and I'm starting to hear the defensive players themselves get frustrated that Shane Bowen is not putting them in positions to have success. I know Mike Kafka said today he's not making any changes. He should. Period.
Well, why isn't he?
Because who else is he hiring? Who is he putting in that position? And that was my argument last week. Right. But at this point, it almost feels like just give somebody a chance.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't even matter.
What the hell does it matter? You're 2-9.
You got to try something.
Try something else. Try something different.
And in Kafka's case, I know that yesterday didn't do a lot for him improving his chances of retaining this job. No. Our little percentage meter that you created, T.
Right, he didn't pick up any percentage points.
Yeah, and in fact, yesterday, so for those who missed it last week, we said, all right, for Mike Kafka to take this job, right now he probably has a 15% chance to keep it. And Tiki came up with a formula. Every win he gets, it improves by 10%. And if he gets a big upset victory, it improves by 15%. But there's one flaw in your thinking that didn't hit me until the middle of yesterday's game.
Tell me.
Is there anything that could bring the percentage down? And to me,
you're just losing. When you get zero growth, that is kind of...
No, but I think when you blow another fourth quarter lead,
so blown fourth quarter leads, we're subtracting 5.
I subtract 5. Okay. And not only that, coaching decisions that make you scratch your head. the usage of the challenges in the first half was abysmal.
Right.
I mean, it was abysmal. He's challenging one thing that has no chance to be overturned, and then he allows a ball that was called incomplete that was clearly a catch by Wan'Dale Robinson. He doesn't challenge it because he's gun-shy because he just wasted a challenge a few minutes earlier.
Right.
I take 5% away. So based on that math...
So he's down to 5%.
He's down to 5%.
No, and that's
you got an 8 1/3 chance of winning.
And
that's about right, by the way.
And to your point about the defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, who's been the whipping boy along with Brian Daboll, you're right. We are now a week in to the Kafka era. They lost in the same way. Mm-hmm. You're even saying, hey, I'm starting to hear it from players without them specifically saying it. They don't believe in this defensive coach. Well, eventually you have to make a change. And when's that eventually?
Right.
Week 15 when it's far too late? And so I know every Giant fan's been calling for it. You're calling for it. The players are almost saying it without saying it. So... Look, I like Mike Kafka, except the eyebrows just distract me. I'm not picking on his looks
because the eyebrows have to do it.
Because I was watching his press conference yesterday. I cannot take my eyes off of his eyebrows.
What's wrong with his eyebrows? They need to be trimmed?
They're very thick. They're very dark.
Are they shaped?
They look like paint.
Are they groomed?
They are.
Are there like random spikes like popping out everywhere?
Yes, he looks like an evil character in a Disney movie.
Greatest take you've ever had, Evan.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I've never looked at it.
Because I'm watching his press conference thinking about learning more. Like, obviously, we'll get to the Abdul Carter stuff. You mentioned the Shane Bowen stuff. And I actually had to rewatch his press conference because the first time I watched it, I was distracted by his freaking eyebrows.
Can you Google Mike Kafka's eyebrows, please, Sean, and tell me what pops up?
Thank you very much. They scared me. In fact, I had a nightmare last night. I woke up at 2:15. It was because of Mike Kafka's eyebrows. But back to your same point about the defensive coordinator. If not now, when?
When, exactly. Because, look, there is still a chance that this team can, they're not going anywhere, they're not going to the playoffs, but they can turn this season around to feel more successful.
Well, because they can win every game they play, which is infuriating.
They're in every single game.
Right.
And the offense is, I'm not saying they're great, but Jameis was pretty good despite the 4 turnover-worthy balls that he threw, including one that actually was a turnover. Whatever. They scored 20 points, and they looked competent, and they fight.
Yes.
Right? In the second half, we did our halftime show, and our mantra was run the ball. Right? Exercise your will against this defense, this Green Bay defense, and run the ball. And they did that. And you give credit to the offense for making play after play and keeping them in this thing. And then ultimately you get a lead and the defense blows it again.
Yes.
So you would just feel so much better. One win does wonders for your psyche, even if it makes you 3-8 after yesterday's game. Hopefully 3-9 after this week, which is unlikely given how Detroit plays. But they played terrible last night, so maybe there is a chance. You never know. But I feel like this team is looking and waiting for something to spark them. We thought that the Mike Kafka hiring after relieving Dabes of his duties would give them a bump. It didn't give them a bump. We got the exact same outcome.
It looked a little bit different, but the results were exactly the same.
Yes.
And that's the part that's got to be infuriating. And, you mentioned the offense. I would define the Giants offense right now as a solidly functioning team. And that's a really big compliment when you think about the fact they are starting the guy who was supposed to be their third-string quarterback.
Right.
The running back who is becoming a star in Cam Scatterbo is doing videos about how to eat tacos. The number 1 wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, isn't walking through that door. And as much as we pick on Darius Slayton, he's at least a functioning NFL wide receiver. He's not walking through that door. So you had a Giant offense that was based on a wide receiver they picked off the practice squad 72 hours ago, and Isaiah Hodgins, a running back who was basically forgotten about 3 weeks ago because of Cam Scatterbo, and the quarterback that was signed to be your third-string quarterback, and yet you were successful 50% of the time on third down, 75% of the time on fourth down. You scored 20 points, which is reasonable. You controlled the clock at a very high pace.
Yep.
Like, I'm not telling you that's the greatest show on turf. But what I tell you is that's a really solid functioning offense.
That's winning football offensively.
And you wasted it because this defense on a week-in, week-out basis finds ways to blow games.
Yeah, the biggest and most egregious defensive play was the 3rd down and 10 in the fourth quarter where they bring, again, the same pressure that you see over and over again. Let me mug the center and get one-on-ones. They had 3 one-on-ones, and none of them won. None of them got home. And Jordan Love stood back there forever, threw a moon ball that probably touched the top of the stadium. And ultimately, his rookie wide receiver, came down with it right in the face of Cordell Flott.
Yep.
Who just doesn't know how to make plays on balls.
That was bad, and you know what I thought was even worse is right after that, they're set up to at least kick a field goal and give the Packers the lead, and they get called for a hold on first down.
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden this defense can pin their ears back. It's 1st and 20. They're back at their 30-yard line. And my thought is, as an IFO, okay, worst case scenario, they kick a field goal, which, by the way, is no lock, considering the extra point failures that were going on yesterday. And you give up 2 chunk plays, 13 yards to Christian Watson, 17 yards to Christian Watson for the touchdown. Good night, Irene.
Right.
I mean, you had been pinned back at the 30-yard line with a 2nd and 20, and you give up 2 monster plays, and instead of holding them and at least, giving your offense a chance to just come back, kick a field goal, and we go from there, you put your offense in a spot where they had to go the length of the field and score a touchdown, where all it takes is that one mistake, whether it's by the quarterback, and in this case, not the quarterback, a wide receiver giving up on a route, and everything changes. And so it's the same old crap.
Right.
And, what you said about...
It's dumb football. That's what's frustrating about it. It's not smart football.
And then Shane Bowen, who... I know we could say, oh, that's just the fall guy because the players aren't good enough, but you've got to try something different. And Mike Kafka yesterday opened the door up to personnel changes. He opened the door up to coaching changes because he was asked about it, and he pulled the Aaron Glenn. He said, everything's going to be reevaluated. And then today, when he meets the media a few hours ago, I'm looking forward to it like, wow, okay, he's clearly going to move on from Shane Bowen. I don't know if he's going to fire him, if he's going to demote him, who he's going to promote. I have no idea. But, boy, Giant fans are going to be thrilled about this.
Right.
And listen to this answer from Mike Kafka when he was asked earlier this morning, okay, you're going to make some coaching changes?
And yesterday we asked you about your staff. You said you were evaluating everything. So this week, do you anticipate any changes to anybody's role or position or status quo?
I would say status quo. I don't anticipate any. As a matter of fact, we're going to go and attack this week. I'm excited for this week of prep. The coaches are excited about it. We just watched the tape with some good, fresh ideas. So, this will be a couple of good work days here, and we'll get the players in tomorrow. We'll set that plan in motion.
So that means Tiki watched the tape and said, I'm good.
Hold on. He doesn't believe that.
Really?
He doesn't believe it. So you remember last week I was talking about Rondé and John Gruden. And do you remember what I said? Gentlemen, today we need genuine enthusiasm.
Yes.
And if you ain't got it, effing fake it.
That's right.
He was faking that genuine enthusiasm.
Really?
100%.
You get fakeness out of that?
Did you hear him? Today we're going to, and this week we're going to attack it. Play that again. Play him attacking the week. Tell me if you don't hear a quiver. This is not commitment. This isn't, we are attacking this week like this is the most important game that any of us have ever played. Listen to Mike Kafka talk about attacking the week.
And yesterday we asked you about your staff. You said you were evaluating everything. So this week, do you anticipate any changes to anybody's role or position or status quo?
I would say status quo. I don't anticipate any. As a matter of fact, we're going to go and attack this week. I'm excited for this week of prep.
Okay, you can stop.
Coaches are excited.
You're right.
If you're going to say attack is a violent word, right? It's not something you do subtly. Evan, I'm going to attack you on WFAN. Yeah.
Right.
It's you have to present it violently. We are going to attack this week like no other week before. Not, well, we're going to attack this week and have fun. It sounds weak. It sounds not presidential. It doesn't sound like someone who means it.
You know what that means? We got to subtract 5% more from Mike Kafka.
Now he's at 0.
He's at 0. He's
strategery.
Look, this is nonsense, but it is real. How you deliver the message matters. It really does. And you could hear the uncertainty in how he was saying that. Because he knows he wants to make a change. He just thinks or whatever, believes that he can't. Or
that's the real question that comes out of this. And by the way, you're listening to WFAN NFL Football powered by Verizon. Why isn't he making the change?
Don't know.
If you can hear in his voice, he probably wants to make the change.
I don't know.
Is that coming from upstairs or...
Especially because Bowen was Dave's guy.
Right. You would think he's got the carte blanche to do what he wants because this is his audition. You wouldn't give someone an audition and tie arms behind their back.
Right.
You wouldn't give someone an on-air audition at WFAN and say, yes, but you can't talk baseball or football. Now, good luck. Have a good time. Okay, he could do a fine show, but it's wait a second. You're taking away the weapons. So Is that a lack of belief in who would replace him?
I don't know who on the staff would replace him.
And maybe that's the issue.
I'm sure it is, but I mean, Mark Manuel, he had defensive coordinating experience,
Yes,
correct?
he was a co-D coordinator.
So he was so he could technically he could do it, but maybe he doesn't have the faith or whatever in him to do it.
We'll get your calls next, 888-808-1019.